What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are talking about Ethereum today for Mr. Bitcoin Jason, aka Race Car. Meant to talk about this yesterday in the live stream, but I did not get around to it. Looking at this just right off the bat, it kind of reminds me of something that but it's still in its range, right? Like this here, more or less, right? Maybe a little bit higher, maybe exactly that line, I don't know. And then I guess, let's see, something like this. Yeah, you're like in an ascending triangle. Here's one that had a similar look, but it broke out of its ascending triangle, right? Look at the reaction. So Ethereum is like if you took Solana and you went back in time before it broke out like this, you've kind of got a similar situation, a very similar situation. I mean, do they not? I feel like they do. I feel like they look very similar, but that could just be me. Again, anyways, from like what we're looking at here, you're coming near the apex here. You're toward like the end of this pattern. It wouldn't surprise me if on this next touch of this line that you broke through it. And with a move like this, you wouldn't just move above it. You wouldn't move like this, right? That's a fake out, whatever. But you wouldn't just move above it and chill there. Like you would break out. You would have some kind of fantastic move. You're sitting at about $1,885 right now. I'm talking about a move that would put you well above 2,000, maybe even up to 2,500 or more. Let's see, from top to bottom in a very short amount of time too, right? Probably by the end of the year. You could see a move, yeah, that takes you up to 2,500 exactly, if not even up to that 28, 2,900 area, potentially even higher. But I would assume something in this sweet spot, the white zone here, would be an expectation by the end of the year. By the end of the year. Now there could be a drop. Ethereum could stand a drop. You know, again, it doesn't have to break out of this ascending triangle right now. I would think that this likelihood is there, but it very well could, you know, reject this area and then come back down, bounce off of this line, and then on its next attempt break upwards. Something like that could happen. But all in all, definitely a bullish formation here. Volume is starting to build. I know you can't see it because I have these annoying little event things. And this is on Coinbase, not with the most volume in all crypto, but still, you know, a lot of volume back here. You haven't seen volume in a while, but here you are starting to get above average volume, and it's with this bullish move up coming toward this area where you'd look to break out bullishly. So good things going on for Ethereum. Weekly RSI looks constructive. It's not normal. It's not a normal thing. It's common. I mean, it's not like rare. It's not like something that never happens, but coming this close to your oversold zone and not hitting it before coming up like this, that's not a common thing, right? The more common thing, the expected thing would be that you do go into the oversold zone. When you see something like this, it's a very bullish signal. It's generally, and this right here is different than this over here, okay? Here, and the reason why is here, I wouldn't expect that you'd go to your oversold zone. I personally wouldn't, because you already were. You're building out of it, right? You came up, built out, came up, had another like little platform here and then here. But the difference between this zone, right, and this zone over here is, besides obviously they look different, but you came from an overbought area here, where from here you came from an oversold area. So that's kind of the key difference, right? Generally, when you go from oversold, your next move will take you to overbought, unless you're held down by the 50 or the 40, whatever. You know, you might dip back into the oversold, but it's just not common. It's not the expected move to bounce like this from here, and it generally does produce a fairly bullish move. Yeah. And I think we're getting that now. I think that just adds to the legitimacy of the idea that we're going to break out of this ascending triangle, which is definitely, you know, it's a bottoming or a continuation pattern. I think this would be a bottoming pattern in this case. Let's look at Ethereum here. What is, I wonder on Binance, what are we doing volume-wise? A little bit more volume on Binance. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, that's cool. Anyways, I guess we can just keep it on. I like to use the Coinbase chart because it has more historical data. On the monthly here, looking at this thing, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. You know, you can see a very bullish chart for Ethereum all in all, right? If we were to take this kind of like bottom here and keep it to there, I mean, we're more or less at an area where you would expect to bounce. Yes, we're below this line. Technically, it's the first time we've been below this line in all of Ethereum's history, but it's had 1-2 touch points. This is the third one. It's a little bit sloppy, but that's okay. That generally happens, right? This will throw people off. They'll be like, oh no, we broke out of this line that has had only 2 touch points. How significant can it really be? And then we show absolutely no regards to it at all, break through it, and then inevitably break back up because we are overall in this like ascending trend upwards. But it doesn't have to be specific. That's all I'm trying to say. So just because we're below this line doesn't scare me at all. I do think Ethereum is bullishly postured. Overall, you have higher lows, higher highs. Ethereum in itself is an OG of OG coins, man. It's been around for longer than what this chart actually says, I'm pretty sure. But from top to bottom here, 1414 extension came down and bounced off the 886. I talk about this all the time, and the reason I bring this exact situation up all the time is because it's a very common maneuver when you see extensions, right? And this is what I'm talking about is whenever you break above your 618. Look at that, man, right? First pass, you kind of rejected it a little bit, but then second pass, you went through it. The odds of seeing this zone went up tremendously, right? You were very likely to see this zone, and you did. And then you found resistance there. And whenever you find resistance in this zone, wherever it is, whether it's at the 1272, the 1414, the 1618, wherever, even if it's higher, when you reject and you correct, you tend to correct back to this 886. And then I would say like that would be the most likely area to find support, which we did. We very much did. If not there, maybe the 786 or the 618, you know, somewhere in this zone. It's less likely, but still kind of common to do, but the most common would be the 886. The least common of all of them would be bouncing off the 100, this gray line here. But that does happen as well, and you kind of are bouncing off it here a little bit, like you're close to that. But the main thing, again, rejecting this extension zone, coming back down, finding support on the 886, very classic maneuver when you want to see deeper extensions being hit. And just so you know, a deeper extension, this one is deeper, the 1618 is deeper, but a deep extension is past the 1618. This is an expected extension, right? This overall is like the realm of expectations. Whenever you have a move like this and you come down, I mean, I would at least expect that you'd see the 1618, but generally I'm looking up here, man. I'm looking at the 1786, the 1886, which is above $10,000. It's even above $13,000, around 20K. And I think a lot of people are assuming that Ethereum could see a $20,000 price or higher by the end of this cycle. I hear that number thrown around a lot. I'm a little more pessimistic with Ethereum. I mean, still bullish on it, but I don't know if it's going to see that kind of growth. It very well could, but I can say that, you know, from a likelihood standpoint, I would believe that somewhere between about $13.5 to $18,000 by the end of this cycle. Not in this amount of time, right? This would put us, I mean, maybe by the end of 2024, but it'll probably take, you know, a little bit longer than that. But by the end of the cycle, I think these deeper extensions will be hit because the maneuver we have here, bouncing off the 1414, finding support on the 886, classic bullish behavior. Pair that with the fact that we're in an ascending triangle right now, looking to break out of it. You've got a bullish RSI, right, on your monthly. Yeah, looking very constructive. You're above your 50 here. Weekly looks good too, man. I mean, just that's not common. That really isn't common. I mean, it happens commonly enough, but it's not like the expectation. Strong readings in your daily right now. Maybe you take a break for the time being, but overall, I think Ethereum's going to do great things in the coming cycle. Yeah, you might take a break now. Talking about the more short-term stuff, you do have 1, 2, 3 highs. First high, lower high, and you have higher highs throughout here. That is double bearish divergence paired with the fact that volume is dying off. But let's look, because this is on Coinbase. Let's do on Binance. Yeah, volume's still dying off here, so maybe you do correct a little bit from here. You're sitting at about 1887. Maybe in the more immediate term, you do pull back, but that doesn't mean that you have to pull back to the bottom of this triangle. You might, but I would think, at least a little something, which that could look like, let's see, from bottom here to top, maybe to your 236, maybe your 382, somewhere around $17.500 to $1,800. That would make sense to me. Probably closer to the $17.500 line, and that would take you again right around like these previous tops right here, 17.5. So, and the previous support area. So coming back down there, finding support, and then breaking through, rallying after that wouldn't be too crazy at all. You are showing a lot of strength on your daily RSI. Maybe it cools off for a second and then promotes some more bullish price action. Your weekly RSI could come down and still be fine a little bit, and then bounce. Right, you found support in this area on your weekly once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5, 6 times over here. Support there, right? A little bit over here, kind of a wig wag. Often enough, especially recently. So I mean, maybe you do come down to about 55, 54. And then from there, we see this nice move up that will inevitably break out of this range. And when it breaks, a breakout, you guys, is not a slow crawl. It is a fast move. It's a very fast move, right? If this was your top like price range right here for the all-time highs, when you broke this, you broke out. That's a breakout, right? You didn't crawl out of it, right? You crawled to form it. You were slowly forming it, and then boom, shit the bed. We're gonna do the opposite of that, right? It's gonna be a fantastic move. And it very well could happen by the end of this year. I do think Ethereum being worth more than $2,500 by the end of this year is more than just a possibility. But overall, looks good. Maybe in the short term it comes down a little bit. Yeah, the 4-hour RSI kind of spells to that too. Maybe it comes down just a little bit. But at the lowest, I'd say about $1,750 at like the low of this range. If it goes lower than that, it won't be by much. That's my expectation. Excluding the thought that, I do expect crypto to experience a kind of rather dramatic drop in November. So if we see that, if we do see a 30% drop or something for Ethereum and it happened now, where would that take us? From the top of this month so far, that would take you, that could take you below 1,500. A move like that could take you all the way down to 1,300. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think most altcoins, it could. It could happen, man. I don't know. Let's see. Low to high here. It could happen. It could. It's not outside the realm of possibilities. I would expect with Ethereum being the #2 coin that if the average drop is 34%, that's the expected average drop in November from the high of the month to where the drop's going to go down. Or I should say the high before the drop, not the high of the month. November is historically a volatile month, in case I'm losing anybody. If I have lost anybody, go check out my altcoins are in trouble video. It'll explain. And my Bitcoin November analysis. Those are going over Novembers and why they're notoriously bearish months, especially the November right before the halving, which that is this one right now. Okay, 10 out of 14 Novembers for Bitcoin have been bearish, have seen dramatically bearish drops that were 26% or larger. And whenever it comes to the Novembers before the halving, it's like over 37 or over 34% of a drop or more, right? So we're definitely at that time. So seeing something like that, maybe we have a lower low than this, have a higher high or a higher low overall, and maybe it's not an ascending triangle like this, but more of like an ascending triangle like this from like the bodies. I don't know, something like that. Because again, a 34% drop from the high in November. Maybe you see less than a 34% drop if you're Ethereum because you are the #2 coin. Maybe you see something like that. That could totally come into play, and we'd still be in an ascending triangle, just a bigger one than what I was first drawing originally. But if that doesn't happen, I would say everything I was saying before is more likely to happen, right? A pullback maybe to about 1,750, 1,750, and then from there we go up and we look to break this thing if it's in the ascending triangle that I was drawing out at first. But I am throwing that November drop in there as an option because I feel like the charts don't necessarily say that in the short-term time frames, but if we look back at Novembers, how they've performed for crypto, and I've got that on my videos here if you want to go back and check them out, it shouldn't be something that catches us off guard. It should almost be an expectation. So just be aware of that. I'm not saying sell. I'm not selling any of my cryptos. I'm holding. If we get that drop, I'm just going to buy more. That's it. So be aware of that. Don't get scared. Get excited. Because it's that kind of drop, that kind of stuff, it's for institutional players to get in at cheaper prices. Do what they're doing, man. Get in at those cheaper prices if it happens. But all in all, I think things look good. I think Ethereum is a very a very bullish chart in itself, man. Definitely has a nice formation here at the bottom, and I think it's got more than likely potential. I don't know what kind of word I'm looking for, man. I really do think it's going to go above $10,000. Is what I'm trying to say. We're sitting at 1,800 now. Prices up to just below 20K would make sense to me. Again, the 1618 is all the way up there at $18,000 from the all-time high to the current cycle's low, which I don't think we're going to get below that. Oh, is this different? Am I missing something? Because didn't we, on Coinbase, wasn't it a different price? I'm confused. Top to bottom here. I don't know. I swear, when I was doing it a second ago, it was $18,000, wasn't it? Maybe that's because of the deeper. Oh, that's right. That's right. It is, but that's the deeper from this one, top to bottom. That's what it was. Deeper extension was at $18,000. Okay. From this one. That's what was throwing me off. So, again, I do think with this look, we are going to see deeper extensions. That would be deeper than the 1618. I think prices between 13.5 to 18,000 are likely, and that's where I'm going to end it off. So if you guys like the video, leave a thumbs up. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Thank you so much for the 1,000 subscribers that I do have. I think it's 1,003 now, actually. Thank you guys, every last one of you. I very much appreciate you. Take care. Bye-bye.